The Amazing Nerdiverse is brought to you by Monster Comics, where they got what you need to feed the monster in you.
Long before the writer's strike occurred, it was very clear that Hollywood was running out of ideas fast. In the past few years, sequels and remakes have dominated the market, while original ideas have been few and far between. It probably has more to do with laziness than a lack of creativity. It's easier to take an old script and make it modern, or continue a new story with an old character, as opposed to making new characters in new worlds. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't terrible. There would be no Star Wars had George Lucas not ripped off some guy with Hidden Fortress. But for every Star Wars, there are about 40 bad remakes. And where does it end? Is there a Jaws remake in the horizon? They're already toying with the idea of doing an enhanced version.
I'm as excited as you are.
Some things just need to be left alone. Poor Stanley Kubrick had the classics The Shining and Lolita remade for TV, both of which made me physically sick to my stomach. There's a sense of despair when I think of the possible future. Studios will do anything in the name of profit. As of late, horror movies have really taken it to the chin. It all started with Psycho, but lately the classic The Fog remade, yet again I get that sick feeling to my stomach. The Fog.
Really?
Like Tom Jane just couldn't hang in there for Punisher 2, he had to go for The Fog. Was he gonna hang around for the sequel to that, The Mist, go for the trilogy, Chance of Rain? The strike will only fuel this mentality. The defamation of old classics will plague us for many years to come. If you are the kind of person who gets tired of seeing the same old movies being put out into theaters each year, then we've got news for you. This year, there are going to be fewer sequels slated for release on the big screen. Although movie sequels have kept movie business alive for a number of years, now, this year, only 16 movies will be released. This is abnormal because the average number of film sequels released per year is about 25 since 2003. In 2007, 5 of the 6 highest-grossing movies were all sequels. Spider-Man 3, Shrek the Third, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and The Bourne Ultimatum. Transformers was the only original movie to break onto the top 6. These movies helped propel box office numbers to about $9.6 billion, which was a record even though attendance remained flat from last year. For those of you who are into sequels, no worries, there will still be plenty of sequels and adaptations headed to the big screen this year. Of the
16 sequels slated.
Woo! I just realized that.
Of the 16 sequels.
Of the 16 sequels slated for release in 2008, Rambo was released January 25th. Indiana Jones will be returning May 22nd in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And the one I'm looking forward to the most, Christian Bale will be slipping into the Batsuit once again in The Dark Knight. Some people say that these days, video games tend to make kids more and more violent, but others might disagree. Young Hans Jorgen, a 12-year-old boy from Norway, saved his 10-year-old sister as well as himself from a moose attack using skills that he picked up in the immensely popular game from Blizzard, World of Warcraft. Young Hans and his sister found themselves in a life-or-death situation when they wandered into the nearby territory of a moose that lived near their home. It's time to move. Seriously, are you kidding? Unfortunately, there was no one there with a camera, so enjoy this reenactment for your viewing pleasure. When the animal became aggressive, it went for its first target, Hans's little sister. The young gamer drew from his knowledge of the game to save his sister's life. He started taunting the moose by yelling at it as to get the beast's attention on him so that his sister may escape. Players can use the taunting move to get attacking monsters to focus their attention on the player instead of their weaker allies. Once he had gained the moose's attention and his sister managed to get away safely, he remembered another move. He learned at level 30 that you can feign death, which is exactly what he did. He played dead until the creature lost interest in him, and when the moose was far enough away, he got up and ran back home to safety. The two escaped without a single injury, and now Hans's mother lets him play video games as long as he wants, just as long as he finishes his homework. Now, who's to say video games like World of Warcraft are a waste of time? I certainly would. I would never be caught playing them. Ever. Hi, I'm your host, Steven, and you're watching the Amazing Nerdiverse. Today we're here at Monster Comics, and we're going to be talking with James, the owner, about what's going on in the comics universe. Let's go. Thanks, Steven. Me, one of us. We're here at Monster Comics. I'm talking to James, the owner of Monster Comics. So, I don't know how up to date you are with the writer's strike, but apparently Marvel has most of its writers back. So, how do you think this is going to affect the Marvel versus DC with the movies coming out?
Basically, I mean, I think DC will be okay. Batman's already done, so I think that's their moneymaker. Could be a good thing, too. We're not getting a Catwoman 2 or anything like that.
We don't really need a Catwoman 2. No, nobody does, really. What do you think is the worst superhero movie ever made?
Catwoman, probably way up there. It's got to be a bunch of trash, really.
What do you think is the best superhero movie ever made?
So far, I think the Batman series is going in the right direction. Batman Begins, I think it's really good.
Now, I've noticed this, I don't know if you've noticed this, but DC hasn't had a lot of movies come out, but they have been pretty high quality, for the most part. As far as in Marvel, just throwing a whole bunch of movies out, which do you think is a better approach? Just throwing everything out and seeing what sticks, or taking what seems like too much time for one movie?
Well, I mean, I like DC's approach better on it, because I'd rather see better movies than 100 comic movies where 98 of them just sucked and they weren't worth watching at all.
Have you heard any news on the Justice League movie?
Just the casting. They keep throwing around who they're going to put in the parts or not, but nothing's definite yet. I haven't heard any solid information, just rumors right now.
Who would you like to see play some of the cast members?
On the Justice League, if they can't, they've already said they can't bring in the Superman, Brandon Roush, and then Batman. So I would think I'd rather see all new guys, nobody who's been in anything that would make it seem like a crappy movie.
Can you give me the worst possible cast for a Justice League movie?
We'd have Rosie O'Donnell. She could be in there. That would be worse.
Playing Batman?
Batman. Definitely Batman. I mean,
What do you think about Morgan Freeman as Martian Manhunter?
he could pull it off. Morgan Freeman could pull off anything. He could be Batman if he wanted to. He's great.
What about Aquaman? That's a tough one.
Aquaman? Who would be the best Aquaman or the worst Aquaman?
Let's go with the best, because I think either way that would be funny.
It's a tough one. I'd probably have to go with, who is the guy who played the Russian in the Rocky movies? Maybe him, Dolph Lundgren or whatever. Bringing back out of retirement. He would be a good one. He'd
Back
probably
out of
be the worst,
retirement.
too.
What about, what's his face? Viggo Mortensen.
Viggo Mortensen. I mean, as long as he has his Lord of the Rings sword on his hip, I mean, he could.
I think Aquaman needs a sword.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, as long as it doesn't rust, he's okay. Could fight anybody.
Which do you think would make more of a hit in the fan universe? A Justice League movie or an Avengers movie?
I would probably say an Avengers movie. You know, Captain America, and especially with the new Iron Man movie coming out. I mean, I think a lot of people are more hyped up for those characters than the Justice League characters.
Okay. You saw Superman Returns. What'd you think? Yay or nay?
It would have been good if they would have shaved off, half an hour of the movie. It had a lot of just dull moments.
What do you think about a sequel?
If they would do something like, Doomsday or something where he's actually showing some power besides just lifting heavy things, I would be all about that happening. But right now, I mean, with the first one, it's just how much can he bench press? There's nothing else really.
Apparently a small island.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Made of kryptonite.
be able to do cooler
doesn't make
things than
much
that.
sense.
Yeah, he should have drowned. He should have died.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, how many times can he die?
Apparently he can't die, I guess. That's why I'm not a big Superman fan. He's invincible. Can't die. He dies. He comes back.
Who would you like to see in a movie,
In a movie?
character-wise,
Character-wise?
that hasn't been made yet? Or have you already?
I think a Gambit movie would be cool.
That would be. He was supposed to be. His name was in the second X-Men movie. I don't know if you saw that. Anybody?
I dropped it on the computer screen, but
I don't know if you saw it. I saw it. I had to pause it.
rewind it. Good thing about DVD players.
Yeah.
But that would be cool to see him do it, as long as it wasn't just horrible. As long as it was a little bit better than Catwoman, it would be great.
Anything's better than Catwoman. Like Roadhouse 3 is better than Catwoman. Oh, we're making that.
Tremors 5 is better.
It's
than
5.
that one.
I'm pretty sure there is a Tremors 5. Is there?
10 or 11 by now. I'm not
The first one was good.
First one, but then after that,
The first one was good. I was a little too young to realize that the second one was stupid. I thought it was cool at the time. Kind of like Batman Forever. When I was a kid, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Then I grew up and I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I don't think Batman needs nipples and ice skates. Really?
Batskate.
Batskate
What
nipple?
are you gonna do?
Are you supposed to strike fear into the hearts of men when you got your nipples poking out of your suit? That's just inappropriate, I think. Ugh. Here's a good one. You've seen the new trailer for The Dark Knight. Had you not known that Heath Ledger would be playing the Joker, would you have guessed that was him?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the makeup's so good and the face is so scarred up and he's a little, I guess, a heavier set. I couldn't tell by the face that was Heath Ledger at all.
How do you feel about him portraying the Joker?
I think it's going to be really good. I mean, the only thing about it is getting tired of people coming in, oh, he's not going to be as good as Nicholson, but I mean, it's just got to look at it different. This whole series of Batman movies is supposed to be in a different row, you know, it's not supposed to be comedy half the movie and action the rest.
Well, to me, it's like they're two different styles of it. So like you can't really compare the two. You kind of can, but it's not fair for viewers and for the actors.
It's just kind of a worthless argument to have. Somebody says they like this guy versus this guy, just walk the other way. Don't get into it.
Go on forever.
That's true.
Like
It
the
can.
Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, we get a lot of people in here who argue with Hulk versus Superman, which one
Really?
would win, and it just goes on and on.
Your personal opinion, who would win?
That's hard to say. I mean, Hulk, I mean, with the Civil War, he came back, he couldn't kill anybody. So, I mean, at this point, I would think Superman would probably take him out.
But do you think Superman would have the heart to kill him? Or do you think he would just like chuck him
Well,
up
it
into
might be
space
just
again?
a big, like a sissy fight. They might just fight back and forth, and neither one of them kill each other, and then just go on forever, you know?
That'd be a sad day.
Would
I'd cry.
happen.
Let's see. Bryan Singer, do you want him to direct The Man of Steel, second movie?
I think he would do a good job.
Yeah.
He did really well with the X-Men movies and everything, and I think he would do good for it.
How do you feel about him like dipping out on the first two and then going to direct Superman? Do you think the third movie suffered?
I like the third movie.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people
One of the few.
didn't like the third movie. I thought it tied in a lot of stuff from the comics instead of kind of doing its own thing. I think that's why a lot of people didn't like it, was because a lot of people who liked them just watch, you know, the Saturday morning cartoons or just the first movie is the first thing they'd seen of X-Men.
I don't think anyone will ever be satisfied with any superhero movie that ever comes out.
That's true. I mean, I think the most positive feedback superhero movie is probably, you know, Batman Begins. I hear very little complaints about that one.
Yeah, and even then, I've seen people like cry about the way the suit looks, and
Yeah.
no one will ever be happy. No one will ever be happy. There's just too many people with their point of views